So this is the database scanner. This is a free tool by Lansweeper, and guess what? It scans your databases on your network. So let's get started. So what we can do here is we have to specify the range that we want to scan. Now I can just start with my local host. And then we also need to supply a list of databases, which ones we're looking for. So you can see a variety of databases here. We have the typical relational databases. We also have non-relational databases. And we do have SQLite as well. Although, if this is the first time you're using this tool, I would leave this unchecked, since these are a matter of seconds, while this one might scan your entire file system and could take minutes. Right, now, if I were just to scan my own machine, this is where I could just hit the start button, but that's not what I want to do right now. Let's also add another machine. Right, now, since we are scanning this machine, and of course you could specify a whole range if you wanted to, but since we are using this particular machine, we also need to provide credentials. Now, these are not database credentials. These are credentials to gain access to that machine, but we don't need the credentials of the database itself. Currently, we are supporting Windows. Linux is coming up. And let's provide my credentials here. There we go. All right, let's hit start. And now this is going to scan two machines right here. Okay, and we have these databases coming up. So these come from my local machine right here. And it took 1 bit less than 1 second and so on to retrieve those. This is my local machine. This is that remote machine. And we can see that I also have a MySQL, ElasticSearch, Oracle, and so on installed. Now, normally you probably don't have like 7 different databases on a single machine, but this is for demoing purposes. So let's maybe hop into an example. We have MySQL on my local machine right here, and you can see it tells me all sorts of details, right? The IP address, server name, operating system, which edition, sometimes you need a license, the version, whether it's running or not, where you can find your data, configuration file, port, and so on. Now, for MySQL, you can actually have different storage engines. So here we also try to locate that. And this little sample database takes about 218 megabytes on my file system. For MySQL, we can also detect the databases with their tables. So we can detect all of that right here. Now, once again, this does not require any credentials. We just get this information from the file system. Right, let's head back and let's try another one. For example, let's take MongoDB. MongoDB is a bit different since this is non-relational and it uses collections and indexes. Now you can find the same information right here, and we can see that we're using WireTiger, that we found a bunch of collections and indexes. And there we go. Now, in this case, we are not able to retrieve the names of those collections without using database credentials, but at least you see that they are here, their size, and when they were last modified. And finally, we can jump into this one, the ElasticSearch one, which appears to be stopped. So now we can jump in and investigate why that is the case. All right, so that's the database tool. If you have any suggestions, we are happy to receive any feedback. You can use the built-in feedback form in the tool itself.